Hey, future millers. Thinking about ditching the desk job and getting your hands dirty in the mill? Well, good news, because today we're going deep on what it takes to become a miller.
That's right. And to do that, we've got some awesome resources for you. A full career guide for millers, a complete interview guide to help prep for those tough questions, and we'll even tell you about this cool AI platform called RoleCatcher.
That's right. We're going to cover the whole milling game, from what a miller does day to day to how to stand out from the crowd.
We're even going to share some insider strategies and show you how AI can boost your chances of landing that dream job.
Let's dive in. All right, so the career guide says millers, 10 mills. Well, duh, right. But what does that actually look like day in and day out?
Well, picture this. You're surrounded by these massive machines, the air is thick with the smell of grain, and it's your job to transform all those raw ingredients into the flour that ends up in our favorite foods. Bread, pastries, you name it.
So it's not just about pushing buttons then. There's a real art to it.
Absolutely. You're managing the flow of materials, tweaking the grind to get the perfect texture, even doing some basic maintenance to keep those machines humming. Oh, and let's not forget about quality control. You'll be checking samples to make sure the flour meets the highest standards.
It's like you're conducting an orchestra of flour. Sounds like you need a keen eye and a real passion for the process. But let's get real for a sec. What's the work environment really like? Rustic charm? Or more like industrial grit?
Honestly, it can be a mix of both. It all depends on the mill. Some are modern, high-tech facilities, while others have that traditional feel. But no matter where you are, you'll be working with some serious machinery. There will be dust, noise, the whole 9 yards. Safety's the name of the game here, folks. You got to follow protocols and wear the right gear.
Right. Safety first. Definitely not for the faint of heart. But there's got to be something special about it. Can you see yourself in that environment? Now let's get down to business. Let's talk about interview prep. The interview guide has some real head scratchers, like this one. What inspired you to pursue a career as a miller? Seems simple enough, but I'm guessing there's more to it than just, I love bread.
You got that right. The interviewer wants to see that spark. They want to know why you're genuinely interested in this craft. Was it the science behind it, the love of working with your hands? Maybe you're drawn to the idea of creating something essential. Whatever it is, make it real, connect it to your skills and values.
That's a great point. It's about showcasing that passion. Now, I'm thinking about those follow-up questions. They could really dig deeper here. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. They might ask, why this company? This is your chance to flex those research muscles. What do you admire about their process, their products, even their company culture?
Makes sense, and I bet they'll ask about your long-term goals too. Do you see yourself moving up the ladder, specializing?
Absolutely. They want to see if you're in it for the long haul. Paint a picture of your future in the milling world.
Okay, next up. What experience do you have working with milling machinery? That one seems pretty straightforward, but I bet you have some insider tips to help us knock their socks off.
Keep it real. Be specific about the types of machinery you've used, the tasks you performed, any certifications you have. But even if you've never worked with milling equipment, focus on those transferable skills.
You mean if someone's worked with other types of industrial machinery, that's still relevant?
Absolutely. Highlight your mechanical aptitude, your knack for troubleshooting, anything that shows you're a fast learner.
Gotcha. And what kind of follow-up questions do you think might pop up?
They might dive deeper into specific machinery on your resume. They could even throw you a curveball asking you to describe a time you had to troubleshoot a tricky problem. Be ready to give them some concrete examples.
Problem-solving skills on point. I like it. Now, this next one is a real test. How do you ensure the quality of the final product in your milling process? Sounds like they're looking for that meticulous, detail-oriented mindset.
You're spot on. It's about showing them you're a guardian of quality. Walk them through the process, explain how you check things every step of the way, from raw grain to that final bag of flour.
So, no cutting corners.
Yeah.
They want to see that you're meticulous about those quality control methods.
You got it. Maybe mention how you regularly check the moisture content of the grain, use sieve analysis to make sure the particle size of the flour is just right, or even run baking tests to see how that flour performs.
Wow, the more technical and specific, the better, huh? And what about follow-up questions on this one?
They could ask, what do you do if you find a quality issue? Or, how do you stay up to date on the latest best practices for quality control? This is where you got to show off those problem-solving skills and your commitment to constantly learning.
So it's all about staying sharp, keeping your skills on point.
All right, I think we've covered a good chunk of the interview prep so far. But before we dive into the next set of questions, let's talk about RoleCatcher for a minute. I keep hearing about how its AI can actually help you tailor your interview answers. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like having a personal interview coach right there in your pocket.
All right, tell me more. How does it work?
It's pretty cool, actually. You upload your resume and the job description, and RoleCatcher's AI analyzes everything, picking out those key skills and keywords that are going to make you stand out. It can even help you spot gaps in your experience so you can address them head-on during the interview.
So no more guesswork. It's all personalized to the specific job you're going for.
Exactly. And it goes even further than that. It can even help you craft your answers, give you suggestions on how to highlight those relevant skills, and even give you feedback on how you deliver your responses.
No way.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal coach, but way more affordable.
You got it. That's the power of AI, my friend. All right, I am sold. Ready to tackle some more interview questions now that we've got RoleCatcher in our corner.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's dive back into these questions. This next one's a bit of a doozy. How do you troubleshoot issues with milling machinery? They don't want someone who just calls maintenance at the first sign of trouble, right?
Right. They're looking for someone who can think on their feet. Every minute those machines are down costs money. You got to be able to figure out what's wrong and get things back up and running.
So how do you even approach a question like that? I'd probably panic.
Take a deep breath. Walk them through your process. Start with what you see, what's the machine doing or not doing. Then use what you know about the equipment to narrow it down. Maybe there's weird noise. Or signs of wear and tear.
Show them you've got a system, not just guessing randomly.
Exactly. If you can pinpoint the issue, great. Tell them how you'd fix it. But even if you can't solve it right there on the spot, explain how you'd get maintenance involved. Give them all the details so they can get things fixed fast.
It's all about being proactive. What kind of follow-up questions do you think they'd ask?
Well, they might ask you about a specific time you had to troubleshoot a really tough problem, or test your knowledge about a certain type of milling equipment. They might even ask about using diagnostic tools or reading technical manuals. You really got to know your stuff.
Okay, moving on. Question number 5. How do you manage the milling process to meet production goals? This is about more than just operating the machines, right?
You got it. It's seeing the big picture, how your role impacts the whole production process. It's about prioritizing tasks, managing your time, and making sure everything stays on track.
So what are some examples of how Miller might do that?
Well, you could talk about your experience with production scheduling software, or how you've used those lean manufacturing principles to streamline things. Maybe you even track those key performance indicators to see where things can be improved.
So you got to show them you're not just punching a clock, you're really thinking critically.
Right. They want to see that you're invested in the success of the whole operation.
I bet they'd ask about inventory management or quality control, maybe even about working with a team, right?
Exactly. They're looking for signs of leadership and your ability to collaborate effectively. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Speaking of teamwork, this next one's all about safety. How do you ensure the safety of your team and equipment in the milling process? I mean, safety's got to be priority number 1, right?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. They want to see that you're just as serious about safety as they are. It's about knowing those safety protocols and creating a safe work environment for everyone.
So what are some things to highlight when you answer this question?
Well, first off, talk about safety training and communication. Do you hold regular safety meetings? How do you stay updated on any new safety regulations? And then you got to dive into specific safety measures you take in the milling process itself.
Okay, like what? Give me some examples.
Think things like lockout procedures for maintenance, making sure everyone's wearing the right protective gear, regular equipment inspections, stuff like that. And if you've ever implemented a new safety program, share the results, Tell them how it improves safety outcomes.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. So what about those follow-up questions? What might they throw your way?
Well, they might ask about your experience handling safety incidents or investigating near misses. They could even ask about working with safety committees. You got to be prepared to show them you're a leader when it comes to safety.
Lead by example, right? Okay, next up, how do you ensure that your milling process is compliant with regulatory requirements? This one sounds a bit intimidating.
I get it. There are a lot of regulations to keep track of in this industry, but really, they just want to make sure you understand the importance of compliance and that you're committed to doing things by the book.
So where do you even begin with a question like that?
First off, do your research. Know which regulatory bodies and regulations apply to milling. Things like the FDA, OSHA, or the EPA.
Okay, know your agencies, right?
You got it. Then you can dive into those specific requirements each agency enforces. For instance, the FDA is all about food safety, labeling, and sanitation, while OSHA focuses on workplace safety, hazard communication, and personal protective equipment. And the EPA, well, they're concerned with things like air quality, water pollution, and waste disposal.
Sounds like a lot to keep straight. How do you stay on top of it all?
Well, that's where having a solid system comes in. You can mention your experience with HACCP plans, doing internal audits, documenting procedures, or even working with those agencies during inspections. And if you've ever had to deal with a compliance issue, tell them how you handled it and what the outcome was.
So it's about showing them you're not just aware of the rules, but you're actively working to meet those requirements. What about follow-up questions?
They could get specific, asking about certain regulatory requirements or your experience with handling non-compliance issues. They might even quiz you on best practices for compliance. You really got to show them you're detail-oriented and committed to operating ethically.
Okay, time for a bit of a change of pace. This next question is all about staying ahead of the curve. How do you stay up to date with new milling technology and industry trends? So they're looking for that dedication to continuous learning, right?
Bingo! The milling world is always changing, new tech, new techniques. You got to keep learning and adapting to keep up.
So how do you show them you're a lifelong learner?
Talk about how you stay informed. Do you read industry publications? Are you part of any professional organizations like the International Association of Operative Millers? Do you go to conferences and workshops?
So show them you're plugged in, always seeking out that new info.
Right. And don't forget to mention specific technologies or trends you've been looking into and why they're relevant to milling.
Like what? Got any examples?
Oh, there's tons, like advancements in automation and robotics, precision milling techniques, using data analytics to optimize the process, even sustainable milling practices. Sharing those examples shows that you're genuinely interested and engaged in what's happening in the field.
So don't just say you're interested, prove it. And the follow-up questions.
They might ask about specific technologies or trends you're familiar with, or how you'd apply that knowledge to their mill. Maybe even what you see for the future of milling. It's your chance to really show off your passion and forward-thinking mindset.
Before we move on to the last part of our deep dive, let's talk about RoleCatcher again. We mentioned how its AI can help tailor your application and practice your answers. But can it handle these more complex, nuanced questions too?
Absolutely. It's not just about buzzwords. It can really analyze what the interviewer is getting at and help you craft those authentic, impactful answers.
Okay, how did that work?
So once you've uploaded your resume and the job description, RoleCatcher's AI can actually come up with potential interview questions specific to that job. And it goes even further, giving you insights into what they're really looking for with each question. You'll know what skills and qualities they're trying to assess.
Like having a cheat sheet.
Well, not exactly. It's more like having a guide. It helps you understand what's going on beneath the surface. And on top of that, it provides feedback on your practice answers. It's like having a personal coach helping you refine your delivery.
So it analyzes your answers and tells you how to improve.
Exactly. It's like having an extra set of eyes and ears to help you perfect your presentation. And if you go for the Copilot AI subscription, you can even do video practice and get feedback on your body language, tone of voice, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, color me impressed. RoleCatcher sounds like a game changer. It really takes the guesswork out of interview prep.
It really does. You'll be able to walk into that interview feeling confident and prepared to knock their socks off.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground already. Technical skills, safety, you name it. But there's one more crucial thing that we got to talk about: teamwork. This next interview question really gets to the heart of it. Tell me about a time you had to work as part of a team to solve a problem in the milling process. I mean, mills are pretty complex. You can't just do it all on your own, can you?
Nope, not a chance. Collaboration is key in this industry, especially when things go wrong. You got to be able to work together to troubleshoot, to maintain quality, to keep those machines running smoothly.
So how do you answer this question and really make your teamwork skills shine?
Well, the STAR method is your best friend here. Situation, task, action, result. Start by setting the scene. Describe a specific situation where you faced a challenge as part of a team, something like a sudden machine breakdown or a quality control issue.
Okay, so give them the context, make them feel like they're right there with you in the mill.
Exactly. And then explain the task. What was the team trying to achieve? What was your specific role? Once you've set that up, dive into the actions you took, be specific. How did you contribute? Did you communicate effectively? Were you a problem solver? Did you collaborate well with others?
So don't just say, I'm a team player, right? You got to show them.
Exactly. And then wrap it up by describing the result. How did the team solve the problem? What did you learn from the experience? The STAR method helps you tell a story that really highlights those teamwork skills in action.
What about follow-up questions? What if they dig a little deeper?
Oh, they probably will. They might ask about your preferred team roles, how you handled disagreements, or any lessons you learned along the way. They want to see that you're not afraid of conflict and that you can contribute effectively, even when things get tough.
All right, this next one's a bit tricky. Describe a time you had to deal with a difficult colleague in the workplace. Ooh, conflict resolution time.
Yep, it's inevitable. Every workplace has its share of challenging personalities. The interviewer just wants to see that you can handle those situations maturely and professionally.
So how do you talk about a difficult colleague without sounding like you're the one who's difficult?
Good question. It's all about focusing on the behavior, not the person. Choose a situation where the colleague's actions were impacting the work, hurting productivity or something. Describe the situation objectively. Stick to the facts, just the facts.
Gotcha, no drama.
Right. Then explain the steps you took to resolve it. Did you try talking to the colleague directly? Did you loop in a supervisor? Maybe you adjusted your own behavior to smooth things over. The key is to show them you're proactive and solution-oriented.
Show them you're a problem solver, not a problem creator.
Exactly. Now, it's important to remember that not every conflict has a perfect ending. So if things didn't get completely resolved, that's okay. Just focus on what you learned from the experience.
Makes sense. And those follow-up questions.
Well, they might ask about your conflict resolution style or how you handle feedback, both given and receiving. They want to see that you can compromise and navigate those tricky interpersonal situations.
Okay, let's talk about stress. I feel like that's a given in any job, but especially one as demanding as a miller. So how do you answer this question? How do you handle stress and pressure in the workplace?
Honestly, the best approach is just to be real. Everyone gets stressed. The interviewer wants to hear how you cope, how you stay on top of things when the pressure's on.
So share your stress-busting secrets. What kind of things might you mention?
Well, you could talk about taking short breaks to clear your head, prioritizing your tasks to stay organized. Maybe you lean on your colleagues for support or use relaxation techniques like deep breathing or mindfulness.
It's all about having a plan, right?
Yeah.
Knowing how to manage the chaos.
Exactly. You could even share examples of times you've handled stress well in the past. Show them you can stay calm, make good decisions even when things get hectic.
What about those follow-up questions?
Well, they might ask about working under tight deadlines, maintaining a positive attitude, or even how you manage that tricky work-life balance. It's all about showing them you're resilient, you're a problem solver, and you're all about a healthy work environment.
Speaking of improvement, this next question is all about that. How do you approach continuous improvement in the milling process? They want to see that you're always looking for ways to do things better.
Right, absolutely. The milling industry is constantly evolving. They need people who are eager to learn, adapt, and, well, make things better.
So how do you impress them with this answer?
Start by defining continuous improvement. What does it mean to you? Why is it important in milling? Then give them some concrete examples from your past experience. Times when you improved processes, reduced waste, made things more efficient, stuff like that.
Okay, give me some examples that would really knock their socks off.
Well, you could talk about identifying bottlenecks in production, implementing new technologies, streamlining workflows, or even developing new training programs. Be specific about what you did, the challenges you faced, and the results you achieved.
Show them you're a go-getter. Always looking for ways to level up.
Right, and don't be afraid to talk about your failures, too. What did you learn from them? How did they make you a better miller?
Failures are just lessons learned, right? And the follow-up questions.
They might get curious about your experience using data to identify areas for improvement, your knowledge of lean manufacturing principles, or even your leadership skills when it comes to implementing change. Be ready to show off those analytical skills, your creativity, and your ability to inspire others.
Okay, final question. It's a big one. Why should we hire you for this miller position? This is it. Your chance to seal the deal.
Think of it as your closing argument. Sum up everything you've discussed and drive home why you're the perfect fit for this role.
So what's the secret to a knockout answer?
First, briefly recap those key skills and experiences that match what they're looking for. Don't just regurgitate your resume, though. Connect the dots for them. Show them how those skills will translate into real benefits for their mill.
Okay, paint a picture of how awesome you'll be.
Exactly. And then tell them what makes you different. What unique strengths, experiences, or perspectives can you bring to the table? Maybe it's your passion for sustainability or your experience with a specific type of milling equipment. Whatever it is, make sure it's relevant and memorable.
And don't forget that enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah. Let them know you're excited about this opportunity and you're ready to contribute to their success. A positive attitude goes a long way.
All right, future millers, that wraps up our deep dive into becoming a miller. We covered the whole milling game, from the day-to-day grind to mastering those interview questions.
We hope this has given you the insights and inspiration you need to chase your dreams in this awesome industry. Remember, it's a field that's constantly evolving, so keep learning, keep growing, and stay passionate.
And don't forget about RoleCatcher. It's an incredible tool that can really give you an edge in your job search. Head over to RoleCatcher, create a free account, and start exploring the Miller Career Guide. We're rooting for you. Good luck out there.